Hello and welcome to our February 19th Jupyter community call. This is the first of our community calls for 2025. My name is Rosie Reyes and I'm going to be the host today. This is a place for all contributors to connect with each other, the community, and special shout out to all the people who are joining us for their first community call. We are really happy to have all newcomers, and we hope you feel welcome to join the discussion, introduce yourself, and also add items to the agenda. I can post the agenda once more in the chat if you missed it. I think, what's that here? So yeah, please feel free to sign in. I see quite a few people have already, so thank you all. So please keep in mind that this call is being recorded and it will be posted on YouTube for the community to view. This call is a part of the Jupyter community, so we follow the Jupyter Code of Conduct, and that is jupyter.org/conduct, and I will share that as well in the chat. It's also linked in the agenda if you would like to take a look. We do have a few people signed up, but if you didn't sign up and feel inspired as you're listening to the talks, please feel free to jot down any topic that you would like to add or discuss. The agenda has been posted in the chat, and it's also linked, or sorry, it's been linked a few times, but we'll try to add it in again for any newcomers. So I guess to start us off, we have a few short reports and celebrations. So I think first on the list is Matt Fisher. If you're on the call, Matt, if you'd like to
Yeah.
share.
Hi. This is my first community call, so I'm really excited to be joining. I'm Matt Fisher. I just started a new role about 4 months ago as a community manager. I've been a software engineer for the rest of my career, about 17 years, something like that. And I'm managing a community called GeoJupyter, where we're aiming to make working with geospatial data more approachable for non-programmers in the Jupyter ecosystem.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Matt. We're happy to have you here. Um, in the agenda, there are some links that you've shared, so hopefully people can check those out.
Yeah, we'd especially love if folks checked out our biweekly hackathons.
Okay, awesome. Okay, next up we have Mike Krasowski.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm one of the maintainers of Jupyter Lab, and just wanted to let you know that if everything goes right, today we'll be releasing a first beta of Jupyter Lab 4.4, and look out for an announcement when this is out. Please help testing many exciting features. Maybe if there is time after everyone who's on the agenda, maybe I could share a quick demo of some of them. If not, those will be documented in the release notes.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike, for your work there. I think hopefully we should have some time. So it would be great to see that from you. Okay, next up we have Chris Holgraf. I see you're on it.
Hello. I think this is the first like Jupyter book representation at this meeting, or the first Jupyter book shout out at this meeting. But I have two right in a row. So Rosie, is it okay if I just do them like back to back real quick?
Yes, of course.
Cool.
Yeah.
So for Jupyter Book, we're getting really close to releasing Jupyter Book 2, which is an entire rewrite of the backend behind it using a new documentation engine called MistMD. And we just yesterday finished working with the Turing Way community to upgrade their book to Jupyter Book 2, which is kind of an important milestone of like proof of concept that pre-existing community documentation is like serviceable with this new build infrastructure. So I think that means that we're getting like extra super close to releasing Jupyter Book 2 in like a beta, more public version, which is worth celebrating. The second one is on the Jupyter Hub team side. We've been trying to experiment with ways to run mybinder.org more cheaply and more sustainably, because that's been a big challenge in that project over the last couple of years, as it's kind of lost cloud credit support from the cloud providers. And we wrote a blog post a couple of weeks ago that's an experiment at running a mybinder.org federation member on a single VM node, which means that we can do so about like 5 or 6 times more cheaply than we were before. So we're running an experimental node right now that's serving most of Binder's traffic. And it seems to be going really, really well. Inside of that blog post, there's a link to other people if they want to sort of see the way that we're deploying on this node. It's on a cloud provider called Hetzner. And my hope is that this is a way for other people to more easily join the mybanner.org federation and support it with their own infrastructure. So I think it's like a big step forward in sustainability on that service. And I'm excited to share it with you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. Okay, so I think with that, that brings us to the end of our short report, so we can jump into the agenda items. So I can, for these, we will have 5-minute timers set up. So if I can, I don't see the option to add the timer. Maybe that's the host. Let's see. Well, in any case, I will ping the chat, but we can go ahead and get started. Up first in the agenda is Anna. So if you would like to take it away, Anna.
Yes, and I will, Martha, unless you can set a 5-minute timer on the Zoom, I'll go ahead and just do it on my phone.
She's
I
got
just
it.
popped up.
Ah, I see it.
I enabled it.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. So, hi everyone. My name is Anna Ruvalcaba, and I'm a member of the Jupyter Executive Council. I think we've recently gone through some pretty big milestones at the end of last year, beginning of this year for leadership in Jupyter. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to share with you just an overview of our current governance structure. And for some of you, this is information you're very familiar with. There are other members of the EC on this call. And for other people, this may be relatively new or something, a part of Jupyter that you're not really aware of. And so I'm going to be sharing some links in the chat, and I will also be adding them to the very end of the agenda so that they stay archived into the minutes or the agenda for this call. So in November of last year, Project Jupyter became a part of the Linux Foundation, and our current leadership structure involves 3 different bodies. The one that I'm a part of is the Executive Council, as I mentioned, and that we're responsible for the strategy and operations of Jupyter moving forward. And then there is the Software Steering Council, which is made up of, well, before I move on, Executive Council is an elected position. It's voted on by the Union of Councils, and we currently have 6 members. Some of them are on this call. I'll introduce us briefly since there are 2 new people on the Executive Council. One of them is Chris Holdgraf, and the other one is Rick Wagner. We do have 5 minutes, so I don't want to go into super in depth with these members. But did either of you want to say anything to folks in this call?
Just that it is a privilege to be elected. Having served other roles in Jupyter, I really appreciate the opportunity to contribute at the executive council level. And particularly, there are things that I see as like Jupyter-wide aspects because I come from the security background that I really appreciate the opportunity to bring to the community as a whole.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I think I'm really excited to see how the executive council can build more kind of bridges and connections and collaborations across the different parts of Jupyter, and also between the current Jupyter ecosystem and the pool of like potential contributors and team members within the Jupyter project. So I think that it's an interesting time in Jupyter's history, and there's a lot of opportunity to do more of that. So that's kind of where I'm going to be putting my time and effort moving forward.
Fantastic. We also have Brian Granger on the call. He is offboarding off of the EC, one of our project's founders, and he will remain, however, on the Jupyter Foundation Governing Board. Brian, anything you want to share with everyone?
Hi, everyone. Great to see everyone here today. Really excited for Chris and Rick to be joining the EC. And, it really is an effort that we began years ago for us to start a rotating leadership model. And so for Fernando and myself to eventually step down from the executive council. And we're really excited that we're at this point where this is possible. And there are new leaders who are the project's in great hands with the new leadership we have on the EC, as well as the existing EC members. I'm also excited to be helping with the Jupyter Foundation on the governing board. And obviously, I'll continue to be involved in the rest of the project as well. And but yeah, great to see everyone here today.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Darian. Sorry, you were down at the very bottom of my screen. I didn't see that you were on the call. Hi.
Hi. I don't have very much to say other than thank you, Brian, and welcome, Rick, and welcome, Chris. I'm looking forward to working with you guys, and I am really grateful that the community spoke again, and we are doing this transition of power peacefully. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, Darian. That was our exit music. But I will take one more minute, Rocio, if that's okay, to wrap up. I have a few more points and links that I want to share with people. So that was the EC, the Software Steering Council. There are some members of the SSC present. Unfortunately, I think we should probably wrap things up. But if you go to the link that I shared for the Project Jupyter governance overview, you can find in there various team compasses, ways to open an issue, office hours, multiple connection points for both of those, for both bodies of the Executive Council and the Software Steering Council. The third body I'll talk about as I wrap up here really quickly. I do want to share that we recently opened up a public board for activities of the Jupyter Foundation Governing Board. So I'll paste that in to the chat. The Jupyter Foundation Governing Board is made up of industry partners and the Executive Council. So industry partners from, I won't list out the names because surely I'll leave one out and that will sound bad. So go to the website. There's a website, jupyterfoundation.org, and you can see the member companies at this time. We are continuing to seek out connections and industry partners, and hopefully that body will continue to grow. But essentially that group oversees the budget that is fundraised through that foundation. And the idea is that money will be used to support the general Jupyter ecosystem. And we're actively working on mechanisms with connecting with the Union of Councils, and hopefully there'll be some activities and actions that will be announced very soon. And with that, I'll close. Thank you for letting me go over time a little bit. And I'm a fan of that exit music.
Thank you, Anna. Up next on our agenda is Mehmet with Notebook Intelligence.
Hey everyone, let me first start sharing my screen. Hey, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
I'm Mehmet. I work at Netflix, and today I will demo Notebook Intelligence. Notebook Intelligence is a AI coding assistant for Jupyter Lab, and it aims to bring GitHub Copilot experience into Jupyter Lab. It uses GitHub Copilot service under the hood, and it also provides a similar UI and framework to GitHub Copilot in VS Code. GitHub Notebook Intelligence is a Jupyter Lab extension. And once you install it, you will see a sidebar item on the left for the chat UI with a sparkle icon. And it will also integrate with your editors in Jupyter Lab to provide completion suggestions. First, I will walk you through the completion features. Here in this notebook, I have a method defined on top, and below in the below cells, I have 3 different method calls, and only one of them is defined here. And I will start typing in this cell here to define a method, and Notebook Intelligence will realize that there are missing methods in this notebook, and it will start suggesting those method definitions, and I can press tab to accept the suggestion. So one of the missing methods has been added now, and let's try to add the other one. So as I just type def, it will actually find out that this method was missing, and it will add in here. And so notice that the context for these suggestions is the entire notebook. It's actually the surrounding cells to where you are typing. So it knows that in this notebook, there are some missing methods, and it starts suggesting those. And let's accept this. And also, Notebook Intelligence has a inline chat feature. You can access to it from a cell by clicking the spark icon here, or pressing Ctrl-G on Mac, or Command-G on a Command-G on a Mac, or Ctrl-G on Linux and Windows. And I have an example prompt here. I can just chat with Notebook Intelligence to generate code here. So this is my prompt: convert 50 Fahrenheit to Celsius. And it's going to know that there's a method defined for it in this notebook, and it will just use that here. And you can also work on the existing code to make modifications to that. For example, I will select the content in this cell, and I'll press Command-G, and my prompt is refactor this code and create a temperature converter class. So it can modify the existing code and provide suggestions. And if you're working on existing code, it will also show this diff view right away, and you can go ahead and make changes to the suggested code here before you accept it, and everything looks good here, and I can just accept this one. And now that we changed this, these method definitions, now these methods are not correct here, and I can go ahead and fix that. I can do Command-G, generate, and just say fix this code, and GitHub Copilot is going to realize that there's a class definition, and it needs to be converted to a class definition, and I can accept it, and it is now correct code. So it is also it is also integrated with Python files. You can also work with Python files, and you will see the suggestions in here. As you type, again, your whole Python file is your context, and you can see that there's a missing method in here, and it is suggested by GitHub Copilot simply like this. And again, you can also chat with your code here. For example, in here, I can select this code, and I can say Command-G and rename these variables to self-explanatory names. And once I do that, again, I will see a diff shown to me before I accept, and it looks good to me, and I can just accept. It's going to replace the existing code. And similarly, you can also create new methods, new code here by going to this inline chat, pressing Command-G, create a method that checks the conversion from Fahrenheit to Celsius and back, and name the method check conversion. And you can see it creates a method for us to verify our code. And I'm at point. Can I get one more minute? So these
Yeah, I
are
think
the
1 minute.
okay. I will. Yeah. So these are the completion features. I'll move to Copilot Chat, and Copilot Chat can suggest code. You can ask coding related questions here, and you can see that it will suggest code here. And if it generates any code sections, you will see this, they are shown in a special format, and there will be toolbar items. You can copy the clipboard, insert into your insert where your cursor is on a notebook or a Python file. You can create new Python files or notebooks out of that. And also it provides some commands for you to create new notebooks. For example, I have this prompt, create a new notebook with an IPyWidgets example with a button and a label. And we have a working code generated for us, although there's a duplication. Clicking it will increment the number as we ask in our prompt. Similarly, also one other feature I want to demo is you can also, your current file is available to you as a context in the chat. You can turn it on by clicking this visible sign here, and you can use it to ask questions or generate notebooks. For example, I want to generate a notebook that loads this CSV file and groups the customers by their country, finds the country with the most customers. And once I ask it to create a notebook, it will create a correct notebook which finds the country with the maximum number of customers. And similarly, you can create new Python files with this command. Let's do this. New Python file, create a Python script that does the same thing, but this time finds the longest company name in the data set. Okay, I forgot to open the, make it visible, but it found it from the context already and it created the Python file for me. That's basically it. There's a lot more to demo. MB Notebook Intelligence is extensible. You can create AI tools and AI agents with it. I had examples here, and you can check out my blog posts on Notebook Intelligence to see those examples and for the example code. And extensions are built using Python. That's all I have in this short time. Thanks.
Thanks, Mehmet. Yeah, it would be great to have a link there for your blog. So if someone, yeah, if you'd like to add it, or we can add it afterwards. There's a few
Link to the
questions in the
chat.
chat as well. Mhm.
And there are links to the
Mhm.
blog posts in that README.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, okay, and then up next we have Kyle Smith with building a notebook review tool. And I think Dan's starting our timer, so thank you, Dan.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good to meet some of you. This is my first community call. I'm just hoping to give a demo of what we're building at Get Notebooks. We're aiming to basically make the Jupyter experience better for GitHub users. And a little background on myself. So I was one of the early contributors to the Git Kraken Git client, and then moved into the machine learning space after that, helping out a team of data scientists at a fintech company. And it was there that I was introduced to Jupyter Notebooks. And some of you may be familiar with how GitHub supports reviewing notebooks at the moment. They have a featured preview to like see this diff in a kind of notebook-friendly format. But for the most part, if you want to add comments, you have to look at the underlying JSON blob. So we built a product that allows you to review notebooks in a way that's as similar to GitHub as possible for PR reviews. And so this is our product, Git Notebooks. You can see that we copied a lot of the styles from GitHub just to make it as user-friendly as possible. So you're seeing the old version of the notebook on the left and the new version on the right. And something just to mention here is that this diff is all generated on the client side. So actually, we're never touching your notebooks on the server at all. They're fetched directly from GitHub to your browser and then diffed there. And we're diffing the entire file. So you can go in and add comments on anything that is a separate line. So I'll just add like a comment here and start a review. And then I'll add like an inline comment. And then we have multiple files in here. We also support like Python files, non-notebooks for reviews too, if you have them in the same pull request as a notebook. And then I'll just go ahead and submit this. And then everything gets synced back to GitHub. So that's what we've built so far. There's more to show there, but I didn't want this to just be like a look what we built kind of thing. So just to give like a little bit more details on how we built it. So the diffing algorithm, as I mentioned, it's all written in TypeScript, running in the browser. The first thing that we're doing is marking all of the cells as whether they're modified, deleted, inserted, or changed, which is just kind of cleverly using like a hash function and then cell type, and then if those fail, string similarity between all of the cells to find the longest common subsequence. So here, like you can see that two cells have been unchanged, and then this cell doesn't appear on the right side, so that cell is deleted. And then from there, once we've aligned cells with one another, we're able to do custom diffing algorithms for the markdown cells so that we can highlight and kind of connect chunks of markdown cells to one another in order to like highlight the rendered HTML. And then the code diffing is more straightforward. And then for outputs, we also diff outputs. We have a little algorithm to tell you what's changed in a data frame. So here you can see like the C column has been removed, and then these values have changed within your data frame. And then hopefully we can come back pretty soon and share notebook scheduling with you all and what we learned along the way with that. And then also planning on implementing a automatic linting for if you install Git notebooks into a repository, just to make sure that things like execution count is either like consistent or always increasing, or if you don't want metadata at all inside of your repository, then ensuring that those things are stripped out. And I will just open it up to questions. If you have any, you can add them to the chat. I'll try to take a look now.
It looks like
I have maybe not a question, but just wanted to say I really love that. It looks so amazing. Now I want to start using it. But I have one question, which is how can we as Jupyter help you, or maybe you already have opinions, build this in a sense like there was a long-standing discussion of how do we identify fragments of a notebook and fragments within a cell, and that was largely driven by the discussion how do we make adding comments on a notebook possible, which was not necessarily in the context of reviewing things on GitHub or GitHub-like interface. So there is a discussion. I will try to find it and link that in the chat. If you have any input, that would be super valuable.
Okay.
And also mega excited to see what you come up with, linting. There is an LSP project that I contributed to a while ago, and it would be super interesting to see if that could also interface with it.
Great. If it's okay, I'll reach out to you directly.
Sure.
Thanks.
I think there's a comment on the chat as well, Kyle, if you'd like to take a look. I think Tony has.
Looks like TF says this is a cool product. It would be cool to get some coarser level diffs too, like the number of cells, or if the notebook was executed or partially executed. These things would be important in choosing the state of a notebook here. Yeah, we've heard that a lot from data scientists or like notebook users, just that they want some kind of enforcement. It sounds like you're wanting a diff of the markdown. We're planning on implementing a custom linter that just kind of works out of the box for things like partially executed notebooks. But thank you for that. Do you support inline diffs is another question. Sorry, can you clarify?
Instead of side by side.
Oh, shoot. We do not at the moment. Yeah, thanks.
And is it open source?
Oh, a diff of the stats of the notebook. That's interesting. Yeah. Sorry, it is not open source right now. But it's free for public repos and private repos up to 12 members. Thank you all for the questions.
Thanks, Kyle, for sharing. I think we can. I think the next person up on the agenda may be Arjun Verma. If I said that correctly.
Hello. So I would just share my screen. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Arjun. I work at Constack. So today I am here to show you about JupyterCAD. So we have been building JupyterCAD for some years at Constack, and I have been working at this for almost 6 months. So JupyterCAD has been built on the purpose to create, edit, import, and export 3D models, and to be able to collaboratively edit them in the browser. So I would just share how it looks like. So you can create a new JupyterCAD file. You can create some primitive shapes that we have. You can do some operations over them. We have some UX features as well, which I will show you in the later part of the demonstration. So I have added just a cube and a cylinder. And I would want to cut the cube with the cylinder. I can change the color of the geometry. We also support doing undo and redo using Control Z and Control F, and we also have these arrows. We can do a chamfer. And now to show you the potential of JupyterCAD, I would want to use a advanced 3D model, and this is a table. So I would want to enable the exploded view on it, and I hope you can see all the parts of the table are in the exploded view. I would disable it. We can enable the clip plane. We can also enable and disable the wireframe view. And we can also use the transform controls to move part of a model, and we can also rotate it. And we can also copy and paste a selected geometry. And I hope you notice that the camera follows every geometry that we select. Now I would want to show you the collaborative features. I hope you're able to. Okay, so this is another 3D model. I would want to create a suggestion over this. We have this split view in which we can nicely see the suggestions. I would want to change the color of the model, and I hope you can see that. And I have this model open in another tab, and here you can see that there is a suggestion which I can view. I can accept the suggestion, and now my model is updated according to the suggestion. We also have an embedded Python console. Here we we expose the model to the kernel of the Jupyter Lab server, and I have some code to create a gear, and I would just execute it, and it creates a gear for you. It is creating the gear, and that's done. We also have created custom widgets for Notebook, and I will import JupyterCAD. I would initiate a document, and I would want to see the document. I can also perform operations and do all of this that I was doing in the JupyterCAD file in the notebook as well. And all of this is compatible with FreeCAD. You can import a FreeCAD model, edit inside JupyterCAD, and export it back to FreeCAD. And that's all. Thank you.
That is awesome. Oh, yeah, sorry, Arjun.
Anyone would have any questions?
So it doesn't seem like I don't see any additional questions or hands raised. We do have some time left on the call. Let's see.
I see one question there, that would it be a challenge to make Notebook Intelligence aware of different extensions like CAD, Draw.io, or GIS? What I think about is that we can train, we can give the context to the LLM about the schema of the CAD or the GIS file that we use, and make it aware how it works. And if it could create a file which respect that schema, it would be able to create custom models using text only. And just to mention all of this, sorry, just to mention all of this is doable in Jupyter Lite. I would just share the link of Jupyter Lite deployment of JupyterCAD. Thank you.
Also, in addition to that question, with the notebook intelligence being aware of different extensions, notebook extension intelligence can be extended, and you can introduce chat participants. You can think of like a workspace participant in VS Code. We could define something like that, and that could be aware of the Jupyter environment and also the workspace you are working on. That's possible.
Thank you both. I see Arjun has linked the Jupyter Lite deployment of JupyterCAD in the chat as well. We do have some time left on the call, so I think Mike had mentioned demoing some JupyterLab 4.4 beta features. I'm not sure if you're still interested, Mike. I think we do have time.
Yes, I'm happy to. I'll try share my screen in a second. Okay. I hope that this is not too small. So, an addition that was just merged is this indicator for workspaces. So in a previous release, what we already had was a list of workspaces, and what we find is that users often are not aware that if they navigate to the same URL in the same browser, automatically a new workspace will be created. And sometimes they feel that they lost the tabs. Now, there is an option, this is an opt-in, to display this workspace switcher/indicator. And when switching workspaces, it will ask me whether I want to leave, and tabs from a previous session will be restored. Actually, I didn't have any tabs in that session. And to test this in the beta, you'll need to go, you need to go to the view appearance show workspace indicator. By default, it is disabled. And we can see that it disappeared, and I will enable it. Another addition is around the settings editor. So now there will be an option to export the settings. It will create an override JSON that can be used to pre-populate the defaults. That's very useful where running a Jupyter Hub deployments and you have some opinionated defaults. And if you are migrating between computers, you can export these settings and then import them back. That's a very cool feature contributed by one of your contributors, Darshan. So these are two around settings, workspaces. Consoles are also, oops, that's not a console. I scrolled too much. Had a lot of work, and that's Jeremy's work. You can see new buttons added. You can see this toggle allowing to switch where the prompt is located, as well as I believe, yeah, this is resizable. There are some more changes under the hood, which are not as flashy. For example, when navigating a folder with many files, it is now much faster. There are other performance improvements around displaying outputs in the notebook. And what is potentially of the biggest impact to the users of Jupyter Collaboration is that when RTC is enabled, which I'm not sure if it is currently enabled. No, I wasn't able to install it in time for the presentation. The RTC prefix that you could have seen appear, for example, in this dialog if collaboration was installed and enabled, it is no longer a thing, and it would no longer conflict with any other extensions which didn't support custom drives before. Yeah, so this is a quick overview of what is coming in the next minor release.
Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing. Excuse me. Sorry. Is there any? Okay, I don't see any questions in the chat. I think that brings us to the end of the agenda. So I think I'll just say thank you to everyone for joining us today. It's really great to have you all as a part of the Jupyter community. We would appreciate any feedback you would have if you would like to share it. There is a discourse post that you can, and I'll add that to the chat, that you can share your feedback. Yeah, we'd love to hear what you think about the call, how to improve it in future meetings. Our next call will be in May. In the meantime, yeah, please do check out the community calendar where you can see all the other Jupyter related meetings that are happening throughout the year. If you have any interest in hosting any of the future community calls or presenting, it doesn't have to be a big share or a pause share, a technical share. It can be anything that you are doing within Jupyter that excites you, like to share with us. Please look out for look out on Zulip for our blog post or social media posts that will be coming as we get closer to May and we near the time for the next call so that you can sign up. And in the meantime, we will get the agenda going. The Jupyter DI Standing Committee is looking to host these quarterly, and I will start off saying a big thank you to all the people that have hosted the community call previously. Isabella Presedo Floyd, Tony Fast, Martha Cryan. I'm sure I'm missing some other people, but also the people that are helping and set this up and helping people like me start hosting. Anna Rubakova on the call, and then Martha as well. As part of the Jupyter DI Standing Committee, they've worked on this community call hosting guide, and that was what I used kind of to get onboarded onto hosting this call. And so it was great experience. I appreciated the help so much. And yeah, if anybody else is interested in hosting, please feel free to reach out. I could share my experience, and Anna and Martha are great. So I'm sure they would love to have more people. So yeah, I think with that, I guess we can end the recording. So thanks everyone.